Okay. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Happy Kiffin Day. Welcome to a Sunday edition of Morning Scone, presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Parish Construction and Roofing. If you need an orthopedist, go to Brock. You need a roof, call Parish. Unique Physique, uniquephysique.com. Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com. Bocock Brothers Premium Cigars. Use the code MAT15, MAT15, MAT15 for 15% off your order. Hang on one second. I have to reply to a text. I've already been on the phone like 20 times today. One Okay. It's probably going to be like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've already had 10 calls this morning. So it's probably going to be like that. My apologies. Y'all just going to have to bear with me. Yes, but I'm streaming. I'm just letting you know. I was making you aware. Okay. What a morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a wild already Sunday morning edition of Morning Scone. All of our great sponsors. One other thing I do want to mention here, I'm going to get going in a second. I did mention it last night on when we did whiskey and wine, but Derek over at Gotlit Light Installers, they're done all their installs, but they do have a few more because the weather was good and they have a few more spots. They do have spots for Gotlit Light Installers. So I just posted Gotlit in the chat. If you're interested, they'll come do your Christmas lights. Talked about it a ton. They'll come install their lights. Beautiful. When the season's over, they pick them up, haul them away. GotlitLights.com. Okay, GotlitLights.com. Okay, so okay, sorry. It's going to be, I fear it's going to be a little scattered. Sorry. So where to begin? Yesterday, the meeting with Kiffin and the AD and the chancellor was supposed to be morning, got moved to noonish, kept getting bumped back. Eventually they met at 3, took about 4 hours. Finally, they broke that meeting. Team meeting for Ole Miss was scheduled for today at 9 a.m. As I understand it, the LSU planes that were supposed to be picking. They're supposed to be picking him up. Early afternoon is when he's expected to be in Baton Rouge. So then we all wake up this morning, and I'm sure many of you just saw the news here that I'm sure you just saw the news that Kiffin's that the team meeting got pushed back to 1:00. I think that team meeting got moved back to 1:00 because I don't think they're going to let Lane Kiffin. I don't think they're going to let Lane Kiffin speak to the team. This is speculative, but I have not heard. So I want to be very clear here because I don't want anybody running out and saying Scone is report. I'm not reporting. I am speculating as I put things together and trying to give you information as I can. So one of the things that seems pretty clear is that meeting yesterday got pretty contentious. I'm talking about with Kiffin and the Ole Miss people. Because you look at the timeline, and this is what makes this very difficult. So Lane is accepting the LSU job, and Lane is accepting the LSU job, by the way, for those wondering, like, I saw someone say, is he trolling? No, like Lane's taking the LSU job. The very awkward thing for Ole Miss and Lane is, okay, well, he's taking the LSU job and he's going to bring staff with him. Well, they're going to be getting ready for the college football playoff. So what staff is going with Lane? What staff is staying in Oxford? So they're going to be getting ready for a college football playoff game without a coaching staff. The general feeling has been Lane's going to take most of his offensive staff to Baton Rouge. So who stays in Oxford to coach the team? Do these guys that are coming with him come now? Do they wait until the playoff? Isn't it the same standard that you just had with Lane Kiffin, whereby you don't want, if he's coaching another team, you don't want him coaching your team while he's coaching another team in the playoff. Or you don't want him coaching your team in the playoff while he's coaching another team. So with that extended the assistance, now I was not in that meeting, and I do not know what was said or what they agreed upon or decided. So I'm being very clear with you on that. But that's I think the big issue here. And so I think that team meeting was scheduled for 9, and then after that, they would release statement on Ole Miss release a statement on Kiffin's future. And then LSU would announce they've hired him, and then he'd be on a plane to Baton Rouge. But when you kind of map out this timeline, it sure looks, doesn't it, like they're going to have that meeting at 1:00. That's Lane supposed to be in Baton Rouge by 1:00. So, or ish, it sounded like the planes are leaving Baton Rouge late morning, which would put them in Oxford sometime around noonish. I'm ballparking it here. Then he gets on the plane and flies back. I mean, then he's here he basically is here at 1ish. So they're having the meeting when he's in Baton Rouge. That's kind of what it sounds like, again, this could change. I'm speculating, but it sure sounds like they're not going to let him talk to the team. Because, man, I was looking at Ross Dellinger's Twitter, and Ross is sitting outside Ole Miss football building, and it was like it's like at or it was like at or a few minutes before 9 o'clock, and there's players trickling into the building for the 9 o'clock meeting. I guess they hadn't gotten the word yet. Um, but I mean, it's ugly. I mean, I think as you can imagine, um, so, but yeah, but everyone who's kind of worried or wondered, like, is someone says Lane trolling? Is he not coming? No, like he's coming. I think it's been the thing that's been so evident for so long now. Um, that he always intended to leave. It's like when it, I mean, I've said it for 2 months now, but if you have the contract extension on the table and you won't sign it, tells you you're exploring your options. I mean, was always how it was going to end. Um, but he wanted to coach the team through the playoff. Ole Miss was never going to let him do that. And so they kicked the can down the road. And unfortunately, this is where they've landed. And unfortunately for Ole Miss, but there were a lot of Ole Miss people yesterday who didn't like. I put out a tweet. I don't know if you saw it. It went super viral. I mean, quickly too. It was when that meeting just kept dragging on, and I tweeted. I tweeted. Everyone's waiting on a decision from Kiffin, Ole Miss. A few things are clear. Lane wants the LSU job and to coach his team in the college football playoff. Ole Miss is not going to allow him to do so, but doesn't want to sabotage their best season in 60 years. Keith Carter gets paid to make tough decisions, so make one. His inability, unwillingness to lead has allowed this to fester and become borderline toxic. That's got 5.4 million views on that tweet. And I think every Ole Miss fan in existence hates me for that because they all want to blame Lane Kiffin. And I don't blame them. Like, Lane Kiffin is persona non grata. Like, he is going to be public enemy number one. They are going to hate him forever. They will burn him in effigy. I mean, he is going to be the worst guy ever. Whatever Nick Saban was at LSU, whenever he was winning at Bama, like, multiply that by a million, because Nick didn't leave here for Alabama. Nick left here for Miami, then went to Alabama. And that stung. But it ain't you're leaving for your rival in the middle of your playoff run season. That's and they should hate him forever. But it's gotten to this point because Keith Carter could never nail down Lane to make a decision or make one for him. Again, Lane could have made the decision. Lane could have walked away, but Lane's also an employee. And everybody, you own a company, you run a company, you're a manager, you manage people. Like, you have to make hard decisions. It doesn't matter if you're an athletic director, if you're a foreman, like, whatever you do. If you own a small business, it doesn't matter what you do. Like, if you manage people, sometimes you have to make hard decisions. And Keith Carter was unwilling to do it. Lane wanted to have his cake and eat it too. Well, so did Keith Carter. He wanted to keep having Lane coach his team so they could win, but didn't want to make the decision to run out the popular coach and then have it be on him. And so you had a lot of indecision, which has now led to this very ugly situation because you didn't have someone who was decisive, who made a decision of what was going to happen, said, this is what we're doing. You're going to live with the result. And so this is terrible for Ole Miss. I mean, I do feel bad for those players. And maybe all of this will be, the impetus to change the calendar, which needs to happen. But anyway. All right, we'll say some good mornings. Please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the post. We appreciate y'all for being with us. Again, all of our great sponsors, they're linked in the description on YouTube. Get them tagged on Facebook as well. We'll have everything over at LouisianaSports.net today, totally free. Highly encourage you to check out LouisianaSports.net if you haven't already. Again, there's no paywalls. I'll have our updates. Our team we've got every article already written, ready to be published. We've got everything. The hay is sort of in the barn, so to speak. We're ready to roll as soon as we start getting confirmation on a lot of things. So we'll have it all at LouisianaSports.net today for free and every day. So again, please check out Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. If you need an orthopedist, nights and weekends, they're open as an alternative to the ER. Parish Construction and Roofing. Love to give you that free, no obligation roofing inspection. You can always go to parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Repairs, replacements, commercial, residential. We do gutters. We do soft wash as well. So I think it's important to note, especially with the holidays here, you want to beautify, soft wash your roof, soft wash the front of your home, your hardscape. We can do all that for you at Parish Construction Roofing, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Unique Physique and Unique Aesthetics and Wellness. Physique is the GLP-1, semaglutide, tirzepatide. Unique Aesthetics and Wellness is like the aesthetic clinic, $8 unit Botox. Great stuff. Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com, and then Bocock Brothers Premium Cigars. Use the code MAT15, MAT15 for 15% off your order. Hey, Bob, good morning. Ricky, good morning. Patrick, well, I think this is going to end. Again, I expect, based on everything I've heard this morning, I still expect Lane Kiffin's going to be in Baton Rouge sometime early afternoon today. And I think part of the reason why they're sending multiple planes, as Ross Dellinger reported last night, is you'll have Kiffin, his family, you'll have the LSU dignitaries that are going to bring him back, whoever's going to be on that list. But it sounds like he'll probably be bringing some staff with him. Like sometimes when this has happened in the past, when a coach has been hired, like you'll send the plane, you bring the coach, they'll do the press conference, but then they go back to where they were, and then they tie up loose ends and put their life together. That's not really possible here. Because Wednesday is this early signing period. Like today, like LSU played the game yesterday and got back, and the staff that it remains is supposed to be on the road today recruiting. Like they're supposed to be flights and we're going to see prospects because Wednesday's the early signing period. So Lane and his staff and whoever's here needs to go recruit to see the guys that are going to be signing with this team on Wednesday. LSU Tiger fan, good morning. Drama continues for another, nope, not for another day. I think the drama is going to continue within the Ole Miss program, which is unfortunate for them. But this ends for LSU today. I mean, Lane Kiffin, it will be. I think there's going to be a press conference tomorrow morning. I've been telling y'all for about 2 weeks now that the target was always Monday for a press conference at LSU, and I think that's going to happen tomorrow at the Lawton Room. I think Lane will be in Baton Rouge today, and the press conference will be tomorrow at Lawton Room. Ole Miss Melton Twitter was awesome. Great day to be a Tiger. I mean, it is that. There's no doubt. I mean, how about a hat tip to Verge Osbury? You know, Verge played this masterfully. He identified the guy they wanted. And while they played their hand, they used their allies, they pushed to the forefront, and they were patient and got their guy. Got exactly what he needed. So how about a salute to Verge? Hey, Brady, Kiffin coming, but fighting with Ole Miss, coach him in the playoffs. Yeah, no, they're not letting him coach in the playoffs. Now it's shifted from, they know now it's what staff is he bringing here. So who is going to coach Ole Miss in the playoffs? Like I've told you, Joe Judge will be the interim, but like what other staff is there? I think it certainly sounds like Lane's going to bring his offensive staff. An interesting name that we haven't talked about is James Craig. Remember James Craig, the former offensive line coach at LSU? Well, he's on Lane Kiffin's staff at Ole Miss, and everything I've been told this week is it's likely James Craig is coming back with Lane Kiffin. So that would be interesting, right? And remember, he was a great offensive line coach here, but he had that lawsuit because of the Tristan. What was that kid's name? Ultimately went to Clemson. The big 5-star offensive lineman from the Carolinas who ultimately picked, or maybe from Virginia. Anyway, he was down here during COVID when there was like no contact during COVID, and they organized a visit, but apparently he got him some merch or something like that. Anyway, James Craig he didn't do anything wrong. He just ended up being the fall guy in the thing. I think he had a lawsuit against LSU and won it, if I remember all that correctly. But James Craig, I remember James Craig was at SC with Kiffin and Ogeron. Sounds like James Craig might be back. But I think there's a good chance you're going to keep a lot of defensive staff in place. I think the biggest question is Pete Golding. What does Pete Golding do? Does Pete Golding come with Lane to Baton Rouge? Um, there's been some talk that maybe Pete Golding might join John Summerall at Florida. I know Pete Golding wants the head coaching job at Ole Miss. Does not sound like he's going to get it. So that's the big thing, right? Because depending on what happens with Pete Golding would depend on like Blake Baker, right? Because if Golding comes with Kiffin, then Baker's out. But if Golding doesn't, then maybe you keep Blake Baker and the defensive staff in place. Ole Miss fans have turned up. Of course they have. Morning, Matt. Thanks for the up-to-date. Appreciate y'all for being here. Please smash the like button. If you had over 4,000 people watching, please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Kiffin is burning the bridge with Ole Miss badly. Knox is enrolling at Captain Shreve. I don't think Knox is enrolling at Captain Shreve. Morning, Matt. Out at the Nuss Busting with the Lane train. We will have the trains at 929. The trains. We'll have the shirts at 929 Misfits today. We've got the designs already ready to roll. Good morning. Let's see, Tiger Poppy. Good morning. Christmas is coming early. Appreciate the coverage of the best. Man, we had a long couple of days, huh? Huff Nighthawk. Good morning. Beautiful Sunday. Big Kiff is in the building. Dynasty mode loading. Yeah, man. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of the comments. I just kind of talked for about 20 minutes, so I'm sure I'm way behind on comment. A lot of y'all are asking the same thing. So, man, these are going fast. Can you discuss what current staff Lane Kiffin may retain? Yeah, so I think there's it sounds like he's going to bring his offensive staff. So I don't know who of the offensive staff would get retained. Obviously, Joe Sloan was already fired. I just mentioned James Craig is likely coming, so Brad Davis, I would assume, would be out. Everyone's going to ask about Frank. Lane is very bullish on his running backs coach. I think it's Kevin Smith. Let me make sure I have that right. Who's been with Lane at multiple stops. Remember, Kevin Smith was the running back. At UCF, I think he was a 2,000-yard rusher at UCF, wasn't he? Anyway, Kevin Smith is a running back who had a great career at UCF, and he's been with Kiffin since FAU. So that's going to be a complicated one because everybody's going to want to retain Frank. But Lane's going to bring Kevin Smith with him. So, but I think the defensive staff, a lot of that defensive staff, especially if Golding doesn't come, stays in place. Now, I'm not sure about Kyle Williams. I know there's been all the talk about Ogeron, and I don't know. Like, I haven't had anybody at LSU tell me that that's legitimate. I'm certain Ed would come. He wants to work again. He wants to coach ball. I'm cool with that. I'm sure from the agent standpoint, they're pushing that out. I just have not had anybody tell me that at LSU that that's something that would be legitimate. So that would be interesting about Kyle Williams. Like, does Kyle Williams want to stay? New staff want to roll with this? I don't know. But Peoples and Corey and Jake Olson, I think have a chance of staying in place. Where does Knox enroll? Best guess. I think it's a safe assumption that the kids will be at U High. Phone number for the updates. Yeah, my text line is 225-396-4400. I could put it in the chat. 225-396-4400 is the text line. So whenever we get updates, we share them there. So like last night when the 9 a.m. meeting was scheduled, midnight last night, I sent that out there. So, yeah, Jimmy asking about Coach O. Again, I think I just talked about that, but everybody has asked about that. I know there's been, but sometimes like something that's an agent creation is one thing. Like when the agent is pushing their guy, whether it's legitimate or not. Again, I'm not saying that isn't the case because I know Matt Zenitz has reported it, and Matt's a good reporter that LSU would be open to it. I know O would be open to it, but again, I haven't heard anybody talk about that component of it. A new subscriber here, crushing the coverage. Thank you, man. Appreciate that very much. Thanks for being here. Welcome. Need to retain Baker. Listen, I love Blake Baker. I want Blake Baker to stay. Lane's had a relationship with Pete Golding for a long time. If he wants to bring him, that's going to happen. But I don't know that that's a certainty, which is interesting because but a week and a half ago, it sure sounded like Pete Golding was helping prepare for the move to LSU. Is middle of last week. Hang on one second. Sorry, there's like I told you at the beginning, there's probably going to be times when I'm on my phone. So I apologize, but you'll have to be patient there with me. Please smash the like button if you would, subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the post. Will they curse Summerall if Tulane makes the CFP once the coach's team before moving on? I've answered this a bunch, but I think there's a big difference between going from a G6 to a Power 4, which everyone understands. So I think there's a better chance that Summerall coaches Tulane in the playoff and leaves for Florida. It was just never going to happen at Ole Miss because whether you want to acknowledge it or not, you're still talking about conference rivals, a team you play every year, and they're not going to let Lane be on the sideline coaching Ole Miss while he's the coach at LSU. This just was never a thing that was going to happen. I mean, put the shoe on the other foot. Imagine if the LSU coach was leaving for Alabama. You're going to let him coach your team in the postseason while he's recruiting for Alabama and taking your roster and taking your coaches, and the whole time he's on the sideline, they're talking about how he's leaving you for another. I mean, come on. What bowl game will LSU get? I mean, legitimately, I was told last week that it's either Music City or Gator. Looks like the two games that LSU is in the mix for. Spectacular insight. Thanks for the great work. Thank you. Appreciate y'all for being there. I just want to let you know that what y'all have coming is not what y'all think. Everyone tried to warn us. We got them now. We really get to see it. It's, you know what, Brody, I can understand completely the scorn that Ole Miss fans have. Like, I'm not even throwing shade at you, really. But you all used each other. He brought you 6 great years. Y'all got the best run that you've ever had in your program's history. And now he's leaving you. So hopefully he, for your sake, made you better for it, made your program better for it. You appreciate the time that you had. And it's what it is, man. I mean, it's if there's any fan base that could sort of empathize, it's LSU because of Saban. I mean, Saban won a national championship here. Loved it here. Family loved it here. Gave him everything he needed, every resource you could imagine, all of it. And he left. I left for Miami for the Dolphins because he wanted something LSU couldn't give. He wanted to be in the NFL, and LSU couldn't provide that. And Lane Kiffin wants to go somewhere where he feels like he can win championships consistently, and he doesn't feel like he can do that at Ole Miss. And I know that sucks because it's just like you can't all of a sudden make Mississippi a more populous state. You can't grossly change the GDP of the state. I mean, it's just there are things that you can't change. Just you are what you are. You know, I mean, there's a reason I gave this example and I wasn't being funny, but whenever Ole Miss played Florida and there were 68,000 people in the stands and it was celebrated as the biggest crowd in the history of Hemingway, the same day LSU at 5-4 played 2-7 Arkansas at 11:45 in the morning and had more people in the stands than the greatest game ever at Ole Miss. I mean, that's the difference. And it's not, again, I'm not throwing shade at Ole Miss. I'm not I think LSU fans can empathize. But it just you keep saying, why would he? Well, that's the difference. It's different resources, it's different recruiting, it's different everything. It's why Ed Ogeron and Les Miles were able to win national championships at LSU, and Ole Miss hasn't won most won a conference title in 6 decades. It's the difference, man. Any confirmations if he threatened Ole Miss taking staff and players or someone? I don't think I think threatening is the wrong way to say it, but taking staff, absolutely. I mean, I think that's a big reason why I answered this a little bit ago, but I think that's a big reason why that meeting yesterday ended up being 4 hours was because Lane wanted to coach the team. They made it clear he's not. Well, he made it clear he's taking the LSU job. Well, then, okay, he's taking the LSU job. Well, who's coming with him? And are they coming now? So who stays to coach the team? I mean, I've told y'all for a couple of weeks now that Joe Judge would be the interim, and I fully expect that's going to be the case there in Oxford. But who yeah, I mean, who's staying? I mean, if he brings his entire offensive staff to LSU and they come now and start recruiting for LSU because the signing period's Wednesday, well, who's coaching Ole Miss for the next month while they get ready for the playoff? You know what I mean? Again, I don't think it's threats. I don't think that's the right word. I just think that's the reality of the situation. Game next year will be off the charts. That would be crazy. Let's see. Does Coach O get hired back? Again, I don't know the answer to that. I've seen all the reports that you all have. I've heard mixed things. I've heard some people say that he would, that he and Lane text and talk all the time. I've heard some people say they haven't heard that. I've not heard it. I can't tell you that. I don't know anything more than anybody else. Do you think Lane will retain Frank? Just talked about that. I hope so. But Lane's going to bring his running backs coach, which means what does Frank do? And that's complicated. Does Ole Miss make the playoff without Lane? I still think at 11-1 they're in. I wonder if it costs them a home game. Could. Someone said the team is taking a vote for Kiffin to coach the playoffs. I don't know about a vote. I did have a couple of conversations yesterday with people that suggested that there are players on the team that lobbied the administration on Lane's behalf to let him coach, but I don't think that's going to work. Any suggestions on strength and conditioning special teams coach? Will Austin Thomas be out? I don't know about strength and conditioning or special teams. I don't know who Lane's guys are at Ole Miss. I would love it if they did have an actual special teams coach because LSU's been awful in that phase. And I do not think Austin is retained. So I've mentioned this a few times. Billy Glasscock is Ole Miss's GM, and Lane is very bullish on Billy Glasscock, and is actually, I think he's one of the guys that, as Lane was sort of consulting with him, and they looked at the two jobs comparatively, was bullish on LSU and their resources and all that stuff. So remember Austin, and y'all know how I feel about Austin Thomas. I think he's brilliant. great guy as well. Has had multiple stints here at LSU. Um, but I think a couple things. There's a reason why he left Ole Miss, number one. And he was also a Scott Woodward hire. And so Scott's gone now. Brian Kelly didn't want a GM. That was Scott Woodward's sort of push. And I think from Lane's perspective, he saw Austin leave for a rival and then also likes his GM. So I fully expect that Lane will bring his GM, Billy Glasscock, with him. Matt, give us your early outlook expectations for LSU the next 3 years. You better be making the playoff. I mean, you're going to pay Lane Kiffin $100 million. I mean, he just got a team with a Division II transfer quarterback in the playoff with a lesser roster than he had a year ago. There is no more 3-year build in the portal playoff NIL rev share era. There is no more easy transition. And look at this team. I mean, you were just a breath away from winning a game on the road against a top 10 team yesterday with no offense. You better be in the mix next year. I'm not saying you're going to win the national championship next year, but like Lane's talked about, Ole Miss had 2 returning starters on this team, 2 returning starters, and they won 11-1. I mean, you better be in the mix next year. Hey, Justin. Trip block. Let's see. Can he sign the contract, make it official now? Even he doesn't get. Can he still sign the contract, make it official, even he doesn't get to coach the playoffs? Well, I mean, I think that's especially he doesn't get to coach the playoffs. Could you see a possible way of Coach O taking an analyst role? Maybe. I think there's a real question about if Kyle Williams continues on. I mean, imagine your first year in coaching is this, and what just transpired. That's a little bit of a man. Do I want to keep on with that? Will Juice and Mike get along? Yeah, it's interesting. All the questions about O, I get it, and I've answered it a bunch. I don't know the answer about Ogeron. Now, what about Frank and Austin? I think Frank is going to want to be on the field. I do not think Austin Thomas is going to be on staff. I think that's a safe assumption. I think they got to find a way to keep Frank. How that works, I don't know. Since the O-line's been an issue, who's projected strength coach on Lane staff? Well, you said the offensive line's been an issue. Why are you asking about the strength coach? Wouldn't you be asking about the offensive line coach? Do you think Kiffin doesn't win a national championship by year 3? It'll be a bust. I don't know that I could say it'll be a bust, but what does it look like? Are you in the playoff 3 consecutive years? Wife and I love the show. Thank you. Appreciate that. Jesse, thanks for the daily info. Appreciate you. Thanks. Oh, sorry. I read that one. Hang on. Let me get where I am. Hang on. LSU is cursed now and forever because they hired away Ole Miss's coach. So we're talking about basketball this morning. So this is an interesting one. Gerard said, "Do you think this goes against all of Landry's comments about coaching contracts?" I think the governor probably comes through this looking not great. I think so. By the way, I do think he is going to be at the press conference Monday. Maybe looking at that kind of like a victory lap. But I do think that this contract is going to open him up for criticism, considering the comments he made and was so bullish about with Scott. The reality is, listen, it's what we talked about. The governor and Scott Woodward the governor had issues with Scott Woodward, wanted him out. He used Brian Kelly's firing and the buyout as the launch pad. It's like, this is my door, this is my open door to go fire or get him out. But the manner in which he did it didn't really make sense, right? He tried to stump about like the taxpayers were never going to be held accountable for, but everyone knows that that's just not how it works. So I think he misstepped there. And then talking about how they weren't going to do another contract like this. Well, Lane Kiffin's about to get a $100 million contract. Now, what I think he'll say is, we got action. Hang on. Sorry, 1 second, y'all. All right. My apologies, y'all. Oh, you know what? Probably could have done right there. I don't know if Thomas is watching right now. Hopefully he is, but I'll do this.
Construction and roofing. At Parrish, we've got you covered. From the top of your roof, all the way down. Parrish Construction and Roofing. Parrish built. Parrish built. Parrish built. From your hometown. ParrishBuilt.com.
All right. Again, all of our sponsors linked in the description on YouTube. I'll get them tagged on Facebook. But Brock, you need North Peace, go to Brock. Roof, we'd love to help you out at Parrish. Got Parrish pinned in the YouTube chat, by the way. ParrishBuilt.com. Repairs, replacements, commercial, residential, gutter, soft wash. We do everything. ParrishBuilt.com. Unique Physique, Unique Aesthetics and Wellness. Of course, Unique Physique is the GLP-1, semaglutide, tirzepatide. Unique Aesthetics and Wellness. It's all your lasers, your aesthetics clinic, laser hair removal, laser facials, Botox, body contouring. Got pain, Crystal Poche can help you out at Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com. And of course, Bocock Brothers Premium Cigars. Use the code MAT15, MAT15 for 15% off your order. Great gift this holiday if you have a cigar smoker on your list. They have the officially licensed LSU cigars, so you can check those out. They got a lot of different schools, as a matter of fact, but And then also Got Lit Light Installers. Big shout out to Derek over at Got Lit. I just posted Got Lit in the chat again, but Got Lit. By the way, I'm text bubbling right now, so I'm waiting on this response. I'll tell you what they say. But Got Lit Light Installers, gotlitlights.com, gotlitlights.com. They come, they set up your Christmas lights. They bring their own lights. They install everything. You enjoy. If anything happens during the season, they come fix it. As a matter of fact, like one of ours tripped, and so they came and fixed it yesterday. And then when the season's over, they come take everything down, haul it away. Totally turnkey, awesome service. Gotlitlights.com, gotlitlights.com, gotlitlights.com. I just pinned it in the chat. I am waiting on the text bubble here to tell me. Craig's assistant O-line coach. Current running back coach is Frank, so I hope so. But how they keep him, I don't know. Does Ole Miss make the playoff without Lane? Yeah, I think at 11-1 they're still in, but their seeding I think could certainly be affected. I think Nuss has slipped out of the first. Oh yes, I think Nuss has a huge opportunity in Senior Bowl, Pro Day, Combine, all that to go through the medical and to work out and explain this season and show his good tape from a year ago. I think he's got a huge opportunity in all the pre-draft stuff, but out of first round. Kiffin and Coach O back together. Any chance Miles can just stay on the sideline? We were clamped. I think Les's days of coaching are done. They said I saw Golding not coming. I'm curious about that because I haven't seen that anywhere. I haven't seen anybody credible report it, but I did have a conversation this morning that kind of alluded to the fact that maybe he wasn't, but I don't know. Wow, Auburn's hiring Alex Golesh. Y'all, Ole Miss is going to end up promoting Joe Judge. Watch this happen. I mean, that's you want to like the case in point. I know you don't care about Ole Miss, maybe just to the extent that you play them every year, and so it matters what they do. But this is exactly the case in point of how Keith Carter mucked up this whole thing. And Ole Miss fans can hate Lane Kiffin forever, and you should. But Keith Carter, over the last few weeks, instead of in earnest beginning his coaching search, because John Sumrall, I'm told, would have preferred Ole Miss to Florida, but Keith Carter never got on a plane and went and saw him. And as a result, he got so far down the road with Florida, and then Ole Miss tried to get in late in the last 24, 36 hours. It was just too late. And so, and so Golesh, is someone who a day ago Ole Miss was talking about like that they would pivot to Golesh because it looked like they had missed their window for Sumrall, who's taking the Florida job. So they were going to pivot to Golesh. Well, now Golesh, and like there's a report Golesh and Auburn have agreed. So now what does Ole Miss do? Like that's the problem with Carter having played this game with Lane Kiffin, knowing what all the world knew for all this time that he was leaving, and they left themselves vulnerable. Ryan Silverfield's taking the job at Arkansas, which the Memphis coach, which we've known for a little while now, was always likely the case. I mean, man. Any hate from Ole Miss toward LSU is unfounded. Part of the game. It's a Kiffin thing. Look up Al Davis, Lane Kiffin. As a Mississippi State fan, I can't wait till LSU plays in Oxford next year. That's going to be bonkers, man. I mean, just bonkers to think LSU's going to Oxford next year with Lane Kiffin as their coach in year one. That's going to be. I thought LSU when Saban returned to Baton Rouge in 2008 was toxic. Oof. Whew. Yeah, that's true. Golding's a good defensive coordinator, man. Mandy, Matt, what's your prediction on Kiffin's first season with us? National champs. Um, Sip acting like they own Kiffin. If he was bad, they would have fired him. Put himself in position to have options. It's true. My concern with Baker is he doesn't seem to teach pass run. Okay. I don't mean to be dismissive. That's just don't think that's the conversation we're having today. It's a fair question. I just don't think that's the conversation we're having today. Thanks for the work. Go Tigers. In Malaysia, okay, very cool. What bowl game for the Tigers? Yeah. Last week I was told it's very likely they're going to end up in the Gator or Music City. I think those are the two. Can't see how any offensive staff member should be returned. It's not a bad point. After the offensive product they just put out, it's not a bad point. Thanks for commitment time and the whole thing. Now you got to be exhausted. Oh man, you live for this sort of thing. If you're not excited when the news cycle is flowing like this, okay. Okay. All right. It sounds like the Plains. I need to confirm this, but it sounds like the Plains are scheduled to leave Oxford for Baton Rouge. They may already be on their way. Leave Oxford for Baton Rouge at 11:30 is their scheduled departure from Oxford. So that should put them in Baton Rouge sometime a little afternoon. Charles, Matt, give us your very early outlook for LSU and Lane expectations next 3 to 5 years. I mean, wow. I, Oh my God. Hmm. Um, like I literally have 4 text bubbles going right now. I'm sorry. I know I told you all at the beginning there's 5,500 people watching live, which is awesome, and thank you for that, which is amazing. But you're just going to have to be patient with me as this is kind of fluid. I'm willing to stay on live here, but there's going to be. Somebody said, "What was this?" I'm I'm in church right now. Hey, go pray. This isn't happening. Go pray for me. Pray for all of us. Um, okay. Any word who's coming with Kiffin on the plane? Yeah. Well, I'm assuming obviously his family, and then I think the reason they needed 2 planes is because the staff that he's bringing with him, I think, are coming now. Like this again, I'll recap for those who are just joining us. I'll recap kind of where we were at the beginning. So the 4-hour meeting yesterday was supposed to be a very quick meeting. As I'm piecing it together, that meeting I think went 4 hours, got very contentious because when it was very clear they were not going to let Lane coach the playoff, which we've been saying that forever, and he knew it. They told him that too, by the way. And he's leaving. I think they were trying to work through, okay, well, who's going to coach this team in the playoff? Because Lane, obviously, like any coach that gets a head coaching job, is going to take some staff with it. So if Lane is coming to LSU today, he is coming to Baton Rouge today, and he's taking staff with him. Is that staff coming to Baton Rouge today? And if that staff is coming to Baton Rouge today, then you'll need multiple planes to get them all here. And then also, from Ole Miss's perspective, they're sitting there going, okay, well, who's coaching the team? And so I think it has been very contentious there, almost like a, you know, if you're, yeah, I like, look, this was a tweet from Matt Hayes. Ole Miss assistants have been told by the school, if you're going, go now. So, like, I think that's the thing, right? Matt's credible, but I think that's the thing is, um, the assistants were told so according to Matt Hayes, if you're going, go now. And so now Ole Miss is left with a very short staff for the playoff, and Lane's bringing all these people to Baton Rouge today. So that's why they needed 2 planes. So who's coming? It sounds like he's bringing the bulk of his offensive staff. Um, I know his GM Billy Glasscock is going to come as well. I don't know if he stays for the playoff or comes now, but I mean, look, signing day is Wednesday. Yeah, how are the Plains leaving before noon if he doesn't meet with the team until 1? That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm being speculative here. I'm telling you, I'm being speculative. Like, it doesn't sound like they're going to let him meet the team. Like, he was going to meet the team at 9 a.m. and then Ole Miss was going to make the announcement that he's leaving. Then I would assume at that point LSU would have announced they've hired him, and then he'd fly here. It sounds like now LSU sent the planes. They're going to get Kiffin, bring him here, and then Ole Miss will have their meeting at 1 o'clock while Lane's in Baton Rouge. Can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to find my spot in these comments. This is, do you think some Ole Miss players will leave today? I don't know about that. I think I think there are players that are very upset with Lane, but I think there are also some players that are very loyal to Lane. I think they all want to play in the playoff, of course. But if any intend to transfer, remember the transfer portal window opens January 2nd. So the quarterfinal games are New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. So if you just play it out theoretically, Ole Miss should have a home game for the first round mid-December, late December, December 19th, 20th, whatever the day is. And then if they win that game, they would play either New Year's Eve, New Year's Day in a quarterfinal game. And then on the 2nd, the portal window opens. So you could have those players enter the portal on Jan 2. Can you imagine if they're preparing for a semifinal game and their players enter the portal? Like you said, they should have promoted Judge ahead of the Egg Bowl. A lot of this could have been worked that way ahead of time. Because they had an open date, right? I mean, they had their open date, and this could have been settled during that open date. That's my point about the point I was making about Keith Carter. I understand Lane has made adult decisions based on the calendar and how this has all worked out. But Keith Carter could have made a decision to move Ole Miss forward. Would not have been an easy decision, but it would have allowed them to be ahead of the curve with hiring. It would have allowed them to be a lot ahead of the curve in hiring their next coach. And they would have had a game with Judge as the interim to show the committee. Probably would have stabilized things. Anyway. Yeah. Wes, what's going on? Jude, what's going on? Any Ole Miss players you want to see transfer me? We'll try to Jad Chambliss and Kewan Lacey would be a good start. Could be getting ahead of myself. It feels like we could be ushering in a new era of dominance. Lane is the exact person needed for the moment. I mean, after all this, that's the hope. Yusha Kozaki, happy Sunday. Love the show. Thank you. Thank you for the contest. Praying for LSU from Ukraine. Forever LSU. Thank you. Very cool, man. Thanks for watching in Ukraine. That's awesome, man. Go Tigers. We appreciate it. Come on, man. What have you seen just now? Hey, Matt, longtime listener. Love what you do. Any word on if the contract is incentive based or some percent guaranteed? Not my money. I was wondering if we mind paying a big buyout as long as you win. Yeah, so we'll see what the exact structure of the contract is. Again, I would recommend um I would recommend everything's all the dominoes are falling. So um like we said yesterday, Florida's hiring John Summerall, Alex Golish to Auburn, Ryan Silverfield to Arkansas, which just leaves Ole Miss. But they're going to end up promoting Joe Judge. Watch. What do you do? I mean, the only other thing they could do is promote Pete Golding, but I think there's real reservations there um, because of some of the stuff in his past. With Joe Judge, you got a former NFL head coach. Hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty certain. At this point, I'm pretty sure Lane Kiffin's not speaking to his team today. That you probably gathered that. I'm fairly certain of that now. Like he's not speaking to the team. Um, I've I was trying to piece that together based on the timeline. I'm pretty certain that he's not speaking to the team. Um, okay. Thank you for your patience. I'll continue. That's 5,800 people watching. I'll continue to reiterate this that like there's going to be times I'll stay on here, but I'm going to take calls and texts and things like that. So I apologize. Isn't Dillingham available? I don't get the sense Dillingham is leaving Arizona State, and I'd never heard from anyone credible. I never heard Dillingham associated with LSU from anyone credible. If you're Ole Miss, would you have Kiffin and his staff stay during the playoffs? No. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but you have to put the shoe on the other foot and say, like, is this game um hmm. um so anyway, just put the shoe on the other foot. You're LSU. Your coach is leaving for Bama. You gonna let him coach you in the playoff? No shot. Appreciate the info you've been spotting this whole time. Thanks for following along. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, John Summerall is at Florida. So I mean, this is the so all everyone was waiting for the Kiffin domino to fall. So Kiffin goes to LSU, and then everything else falls into place. Summerall to Florida, Silverfield to Arkansas, Golish to Auburn. All that's happened here. Okay, I really have to take this phone call. I'm Okay, thank you for your patience. Told y'all there's just going to be calls that if y'all are patient with me, I'll stay on, but there's just going to be stuff. I'm going to take calls and stuff. Matt, Jimbo to Ole Miss, have not heard that at all. That's literally the first time I've seen that at all. Explain why LSU is willing to hire Ole Miss coach, but refuse to look at the Tulane coach. I don't think they refused to look at the Tulane coach. I think they just set their sights on Kiffin early, got him as their guy, and that was that. So they never really went down the road with Summerall because they were in on Lane Kiffin all along. I want to say, regardless who the coach is, please clear the seconds off the microwave. You know you're a Scone fan when. Morning, where's the signatures? Matt, LSU alum living in Charlotte. Heard you this morning on ESPN Radio. Played an audio clip. Okay. Interesting. Thanks for watching, Wes. Appreciate that. Yeah, so last night at I don't know, 11 o'clock Central, I was on ESPN Radio, their game night show. So I guess they're using clips of it. It's interesting. Yes, Lane Kiffin to LSU is a done deal. If you're waking up today and wondering, is this happening? Yes. Go get some canes to help fund this. You know what's interesting is that everyone always assumes that it's always Todd. And Todd is very generous to LSU. I'm not in any way denying that. But it's not always, Todd isn't always the first call. I think he's just the most publicly known booster. He and Gordon, obviously Gordon's profile as an LSU booster has risen tremendously in the last 4 years. Not to say his generosity has risen, just his profile, the awareness of what Gordon does because of all the NIL stuff. But it's not always Todd. Seems like they were on Kiffin knew he would come before firing Kelly so quickly. That's not true. That I'll tell you definitively is not true. That's not true. I mean, remember, Scott Woodward was still the athletic director when he fired Brian Kelly. There's bad blood between LSU and Tulane. I think, listen, there were some, if you're asking about why LSU didn't go for Summerall, they just identified Kiffin. I mean, they were going for the big swing. And there are certainly some people who were going to be opposed to hiring the Tulane coach, but there were enough people internally that he was third on the list. They went Kiffin, then they had Drinkwitz as their number 2. Drinkwitz realized he was a bridesmaid, so took his deal at Missouri, and then Summerall was number 3. Does this mean Summerall doesn't coach the AAC championship? What I was told yesterday, and again, I don't cover Tulane every day, and I don't have all the insight there. What I was told yesterday is that Summerall believes contractually he has ground to stand on where he could continue coaching his team while taking the Florida job. And I think Florida would be inclined to let him do that because you're talking about a step up, right, from a G6 to a Power 4. It's not the same like what's happening with Lane Kiffin. I'll be staying here. Got washed out of a deer stain. Since Kiffin ain't coming. Brother Kiffin's coming. Let's see. So we wait, but no word on the call. You don't think I'm just going to sit here and disclose everything on a call, do you? I take a call, you think I'm going to disclose everything on it? Why wouldn't I just put the call on the stream? Because some of that stuff is for me to know and then to use as I see fit. And some of it I'm not ready to say, but they're very interesting leads about what could be happening in the next 24 hours. And some of it potentially involves staff, some of it potentially involves players, but I'm not going to tell you right now because I'm not comfortable singularly sourcing any of this, but it's really good leads to follow to see if that stuff is true. But it's very interesting. I mean, I think it's pretty clear. I'm very comfortable saying now with all the conversations I've had today that they're not letting Lane Kiffin speak to his team. That much seems obvious with the timeline and everything. So the planes to pick up Kiffin apparently are leaving Baton Rouge at 11:30. There was some discrepancy if they were like landing in Oxford at 11:30 or leaving Baton Rouge at 11:30. Apparently, they're leaving Baton Rouge at 11:30 to go get Kiffin's and then come back. So he will be either on a plane to Baton Rouge or in Baton Rouge by the time they have that meeting. Um, hmm. Um, Weeks brothers probably put in a good word about Baker to Kiffin. I don't think Kiffin needs the Weeks brothers to put in a good word for Blake Baker. I think all I got to do is look at what the defense did this year. Um, I'm scrolling through some of your comments to see if there's good questions I want. Oh, is it? Yeah, this was all whenever I was when I was on the phone. Y'all crazy, man. No, like again, to be abundantly clear, um, if anybody's wondering, like, is he not like is Kiffin not? No, Kiffin's coming. Like it's done. He's coming. The plane is leaving Baton Rouge to go pick him up here within the next hour. I've just had conflicting times on when the plane is leaving Baton Rouge, planes. And it sounds like Kiffin is going to be bringing with him not just his family, but I think their staff from Ole Miss that's coming with him today. That won't be coaching Ole Miss in the playoff. In addition to Kiffin, and it sounds like it's going to be a lot of the offensive staff. So, what will be fascinating now is what happens with Ole Miss at 11-1. What happens with Ole Miss at 11-1 in the playoff without Kiffin, and then we see what the rest of the fallout is of this. Kiffin and what other staffers aren't there. This is an interesting one. Do you think Baker goes to Tulane? I think that's the big question. Is if so, there's the three-pronged possibility here for Blake Baker. One is Kiffin retains him. Two is if Kiffin brings Pete Golding with him, does Baker go to Florida with Summerall, or does Baker get the head coaching job at Tulane? I think it's one of those three, and I don't know the answer to it. My thought is it kind of sounds like I just haven't. I know some of y'all are saying this about Pete Golding not coming, but I haven't. I'm not saying that's not right. I just haven't seen that. I know. Okay, there's John Tolte saying Golding is not expected to join Lane Kiffin. Neil McCready said Golding or Joe Judge will be the interim, which would suggest that Golding's staying. Zenit saying Golding not expected. Okay, a lot of reports are that Golding's not, which is a surprise. I'm curious what that means for Pete Golding at Ole Miss. So I wonder if with all of this, I wonder with all this and all these other dominoes falling for the head coaching stuff today, if they're looking at Golding as a potential, like do they just land on Pete Golding or Joe Judge as their head coach, like their full time? What else do you do? Who else do you go get? Ole Miss is in, but I'm telling y'all, this is why there was a lot of Ole Miss people again angry at me last night for my tweet about Keith Carter. But what's happening to them right now is the result of lack of leadership. They let Lane Kiffin string them out. And look, I get it. They were trying to use Lane Kiffin to finish off their greatest season ever, but they put themselves in this situation because they didn't recognize Kiffin was leaving, which he always was, and they left themselves vulnerable. They didn't get on a plane and go interview John Summerall because they were afraid of how Lane Kiffin might react to that. And as a result, look at the situation they're in. Everybody else has their coach. It's a game of musical chairs, and the music stopped. A coach is in every seat except theirs. So what do? You promote Joe Judge or Pete Golding? I mean, a lot of people asking about staff. I'm going to do a locked on. Well, this would be fascinating. Like, I wonder if they would make Golding or Judge permanent today just to try to create some stability there. Wow. Wow. So interesting. Yeah, so Lane's staff again, it sounds like he's bringing the majority of his offensive staff. Kevin Smith, the running backs coach, GM Charlie Weiss Jr., the OC. It seems like those guys would be coming. It sounds like the defensive staff is staying. So LSU's defensive staff could largely be retained. I think there's a fair question about Kyle Williams. I know everyone's asked about Ogeron. I do not have anything. Oh, wow. Look at this dork. What a jerk to stay on the phone. Yeah, right. Then leave. No one's making you stay here, dork. Trying to get information. You think I'm taking a call about my haircut? Dork, get out of here. Like, I've been on a live stream for an hour and 42 minutes on my Sunday morning after doing a Locked On episode last night after midnight, after doing a live stream for an hour and a half last night after the football game, after doing a 2-hour morning scone yesterday. Bro, kick rocks. If you're complaining about anything I'm doing right now, you can get the hell out. Like, kick rocks, loser. I have no desire to talk to you ever again. Like, you can leave. Bro, come on. Like, give me a break. I'm taking a phone call from a really good source. I could just shut the stream down. Bro. Matt, who faded that up. Oh my God. It's ridiculous. Wait, hold on. Where's this guy? And you're getting paid for it. Really? I'm getting paid for it? Oh, really? The $40 in super chats that I've made? Really? I'm getting paid. Awesome. It's life-changing. Thanks so much. Kick rocks, loser. Like, the whole reason I do all this is to create community and the symbiotic relationship. So if you need a roof, call Parrish. I'm not charging anybody anything to be here. You want to drop a super chat? That's up to you. I only do that because y'all asked me to. I'd turn those off for a long time. Y'all are going to be very displeased, but I have to take another phone call. Maybe I'll just shut down the stream. I know y'all couldn't hear what I was saying. I got the mic on mute and potted down, but no way y'all could hear what I was saying. That was a call about because everyone's asking about staff, right, and what's going to happen. And the biggest thing for me is with Lane bringing. I told. I'm trying not to answer this call. I just got another call. I just sent a text. Um, okay. So the really interesting thing is, like we've talked about all along, the plan has been Joe Judge as Ole Miss's interim. And the thought is Golding would come with Kiffin to LSU. You're seeing a lot of, so that was a call about a lot of the reports you see out there about Golding potentially staying. And I'm curious now. This is not finalized, but I'm curious if amid all of this at Ole Miss, like all of the everything, all the negativity, Lane leaving, players upset, staff leaving, do they try to promote Golding now as the popular assistant to try to keep things together? That would be interesting. That would certainly keep uh um um so anyway, all of that becomes really relevant here. Not that anybody, I mean, I guess you care what happens at Ole Miss because LSU could play Ole Miss every year, so you care very much about what happens to them. But it matters significantly because if Golding doesn't come to LSU, then Baker, in theory, would stay in place.
Saints game and it does work.
Saints game and it does work. Like this. Joe Judge has not been named interim yet. So all along that has been the plan. We've talked about that for 2 weeks. That has been their plan. Is that if Kiffin left, Joe Judge would be promoted to interim for the playoff. I'm not sure they anticipated. I'm not sure they anticipated which foolishly, all of the fallout. So it may be a thing where they try to retain Pete Golding as a popular assistant, try to keep the train on the tracks here. And so I think it'd be very telling today what assistants get on the plane to fly to Baton Rouge. And so if Golding is not on the plane today, it would suggest, so I'm reading through the line, that he's staying, which means Baker staying becomes very much in play. However, I do wonder if Tulane targets Baker to be their head coach, which I think would be a very real possibility.
That's the tag.
What, buddy?
That's the tag.
That's the tag. Okay.
And it does work.
And it does work. Are the LSU planes confirmed on the way to Oxford now? I don't know that. I was told varying times, either 11 or 11:30 leaving Baton Rouge, but they're supposed to be back in Baton Rouge with Kiffin after sometime around like 1:00. So I was told both 11 and 11:30 were the times that they were leaving Baton Rouge. So I'm reading your comments. I'm trying to see. There was one. So this one said, when are we expecting everything to go public, Matt? So last night, when the 9 a.m. meeting was planned, the expectation was they would have the 9 o'clock team meeting. After the 9 o'clock team meeting, Ole Miss would release a statement that Kiffin was leaving, at which point LSU would release a statement that they'd hired Kiffin, and then he'd fly here. And it does work. iPad, and it does work. That obviously changed now with the team meeting being pushed back to 1, because, again, that overlaps. Like, Lane Kiffin will be in Baton Rouge by the time they have that meeting, which suggests, just if you play that out logically, they're not letting him talk to the team. And what happened yesterday was very contentious, is I think right now from the Ole Miss side, they are scrambling to try to retain as much staff as they can for their playoff run. And I know there was at least one report from Matt Hayes that said the staff was effectively told, if you're leaving, leave now. And that does kind of play. So that would also explain why, if they had a chance to retain Pete Golding, and he's making 2.7 as the highest paid DC in the conference or the country, like, do they give him a raise? Does he become the interim? Like, what might they have done to try to keep things together for the playoff? Like, that's what I think Ole Miss is scrambling right now. And it does work. Saints game. It does work. Saints do play. God, I forgot the Saints. Saints kick off in 45 minutes. And it does work. Never heard of it. Does work. I need Drew to officially confirm Kiffin to LSU. Gulf South, when are you releasing 2-hour tell all video? Ooh, I need more than 2 hours. Brother, I'm telling you. Like, when this is all done, I'll sit on my back patio, I'll light a cigar, pour a whiskey, and I'll just tell y'all everything I know. That I can, anyway. Does the BK to UConn rumor have any smoke? I have no idea. I haven't heard anything about Kelly being interviewed anywhere. Baker to Tulane, possibly. I think Tulane is pushing to try to keep Summerall. I don't see that as possible. I think Summerall is going to be introduced at Florida. It's going to be announced at Florida today. I know there's already been a report, but I think it'll be announced today by Florida, like confirmed by Florida today. It's confirmed that people think Lane has nothing better to do than troll LSU. Yeah. Matt, can I get a pool jump after the announcement? Absolutely not. If Kiffin wants to bring his offensive staff, does he still want Golding as reported? Does that keep Baker in play? How about Tulane? Yeah, so we've answered that a couple of times now. That's part of the conversations I've been having this morning is it feels like Ole Miss is making a strong push to try to keep Pete Golding. He's a good recruiter. He's liked on staff, all that sort of stuff. So as they try to retain staff, Golding seems like one of the guys that they're prioritizing to keep in place. Now that would change things for DC at LSU. Ole Miss gonna have to hire Brian Kelly or Billy Napier. Josh, good morning. LSU fan, welcome party of the airport. Where do we go? Well, they're going to be at the private airport. And it does work. Saints game, and it does work. LSU didn't hold a gun to Kiffin, no wrong. Awesome other planes, so Ole Miss can't find which one to sabotage. That's not true. Stop. I'm telling you, they are. It does work. That's the tag, and it does work. No, that's they're sending multiple planes. Mm-mm. Is Glasscock a downgrade from Austin Thomas? Does he have Louisiana ties? I don't know that he has Louisiana ties, but Lane Kiffin loves him. Like, he's a really smart guy who helped organize their whole how they organize their roster and evaluation process and everything like that. So he was at Texas from 21 to 23 as director of player personnel. Prior, he was at NC State. Was also at Minnesota. And then prior to that, Northern Illinois, Arizona Western, and Joliet Junior College. So there's the bio. I would not say he's a downgrade. I mean, especially if he and Lane have good synergies and he wants him. Does Kiffin coach the LSU bowl game? I don't know that. I have no idea. I doubt it, but I don't know that. I'm going to sign for hot yoga. I need it after this season. Clowns are clowns. Real fans appreciate. Thank you. Appreciate that. Of course. Not sure if Ole Miss fans realize how messed up they really are. No coaches. I'll say it again. They, Keith Carter painted them into a corner by his allowing Kiffin to string them along, by not pursuing other candidates, by not getting on a plane last week and flying to New Orleans to go see John Summerall, to engage in those conversations, to continue to hope that Lane Kiffin was going to stay when he never was. Now they're in this spot. It's game musical chairs, man. And the music stopped, and everyone's got a coach except them. And now they're scrambling. Everyone's mad. Let the losers leave. We appreciate the word. Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Loving the phone calls. Look forward to breaking news. I hope Frank and Corey are staying at LSU. Corey, I believe, it sounds like, again, as I piece this together, Lane is bringing the bulk of his offensive staff. You missed it earlier. I mentioned one interesting name is James Craig, who's on staff at Ole Miss. Remember, he was the offensive line coach at LSU during the 19 national championship team. He was at SC with Lane and Ogeron. Well, Lane hired him at Ole Miss, and it looks like he would be coming back. Remember, he had that lawsuit against LSU, the wrongful termination deal. But I guess the bygones, different administration, all that stuff. You got it, man. Thanks for being a blower. Man, we need you answering all the calls. We need the info. People can leave if they don't like it. Appreciate it. Will Lane do coaches shows now since he's at LSU? The coaches shows have always been a contractual agreement for the coaches. Like part of their salary is they have to do the coaches shows. I know from everything, and again, I've never covered a Lane Kiffin team, but from what I understand from the people at Ole Miss that cover himself, like he's not really keen on that. He's not the guy that's gonna go shake hands with boosters and do the radio interviews and all that sort of stuff. It's a blower. Hey, Robert, recent alum and new LSU fan. Loving your streams, everything you're doing. Thank you so much. Very kind. Worst thing about all this, you only got to use Musso's Kiffin Watch audio for a single day. That's Musso's fault. Because Musso, I've been asking for it for a long time. Musso didn't do it till the last day. Goodbye, Gator Bowl. Hello, CFB playoffs. Matt, I already know you are big time, so letting you know Shannon Sharp and others are quoting you and shouting you out. Oh, really? Where? Twitter? Blow. I don't know. Where's Shannon Sharp quoting me? I don't see it. I don't see him quoting me or anything. Anyway, good on him if he is. Okay. I love the content. Thanks so much for everything you do. Now, my question, I don't understand why it's taking so long if they have a done deal. Well, I think everything was in line for it to be done. And the other thing, too, is like, has he actually put pen to paper and signed the contract? Until he does that, LSU's not going to release that they've hired him. I mean, they got to have pen to paper on this, which I have not. I've had one person tell me they have. I've had multiple say they're not sure. So I'm waiting to see definitively if that's happened yet or if it'll happen when he's here. If any of your context tested the pulse of the recruits about the move. I mean, see Lamar Brown last night? I mean, Lamar Brown was tweeting like, here come the Tigers and all that stuff. Like, any QB targets you want Lane to target first? Trinidad Chambliss? When Kiffin comes, what's the possibility of Wilson staying? He's very important in New Orleans recruiting. Yeah, the question there is, so Kevin Smith, who's Kiffin's running backs coach, I understand what is supposed to come with him. So what does that mean for Frank? I don't know. I think you have to find a spot for him on staff, but I don't know. And remember, Frank was on Lane's staff at Tennessee in 2009, so they do know each other. Ole Miss AD moves like Mickey Loomis. Yeah. LSU Tiger fan. DJ Pergo, thanks for all you do. Aaron, somewhat skeptical that he'll have some sort of recruiting edge like he's had his past 2 stops. Kids there are being pursued by FAU and Ole Miss, aren't being pursued by Sark Kirby. Yeah, man. I think with LSU, a big part of the attractiveness is like you can pursue the top tier talent that you can't pursue at FAU or Ole Miss. You're not going to get them all, but you're going to get enough of the ones that you don't get Ole Miss. Kiffin LSU, it does work. Okay, y'all. It's been 2 hours and 17 minutes. We may shut down the stream right now because I need to go gear up now for our release over at louisianasports.net for how we're going to actually when and how we're going to put all this out. And I need to record my Locked on LSU pod. So as soon as we have an official announcement, I will be back on, probably on my Locked on channel for my immediate reaction there. And then we'll do another stream later as we know more information. So let me shut this down. Please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the post. Thanks for being there. All of our great sponsors linked in the description on YouTube. I'll get them tagged on Facebook. Remember, Parish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com. Brock, you need an orthopedist, after hours clinic, open nights and weekends. Unique physique and unique aesthetics and wellness, restored motions, Bocock Brothers Premium Cigars. And I also mentioned as well, my buddy Derek over at Got Lit Light Installers. They are taking a few more families if you need Christmas light installs. I just posted the link in the chat, gotlitlights.com, gotlitlights.com, gotlitlights.com. All right, let's wrap this thing up. I'm not going far, though. I will come back just as soon as we have confirmation that his deal is signed and I know when he's going to be introduced. So, okay. Thank y'all. Please smash the like button on your way out. See you.